Our next speaker, Ross Berstein, is a best-selling author of nearly 50 sports books and an award-winning peak performance expert. He spent the better part of 20 years studying the DNA of award-winning sports team, and his mission today is to get us all thinking differently about what it's going to take to raise our game to the next level. Please join me in welcoming Ross Berstein.
What an amazing conference. I'm so honored to be here. Ni hao. This is fantastic. So, as you heard, I am a huge sports fanatic. And my program this afternoon is based on a series of best-selling books I wrote in which I was able to interview more than 1,000 professional athletes and coaches who all had one thing in common. They were all members of championship teams. And I could only ask them why that particular team won. And much like Jim Collins did in his iconic book, Good to Great, I too was looking for the same sorts of trends and metrics and patterns that were common among these teams, and the results were fascinating. The same characteristics that are common in peak performers in sports are common in peak performers in business. As I learned, champions have a very unique DNA. So I want you to think about your DNA and about why someone would choose to do business with you. After all, you're in the ultimate commodity business. So what's unique about you? There are big differences between trusted advisors and order takers, and I want you to think about the differentiators that truly set you apart from everybody else. At the core of my message is the simple fact that we like to do business with people who we like, people who we trust, and people who just get it. In my world, these people are champions. Now, these 7 champions you're about to learn about aren't necessarily the greatest athletes of all time. Rather, they are 7 individuals who have made a difference as leaders by elevating from ordinary to extraordinary. And I want to share their stories with you in the hope that you will be able to use their life lessons to build stronger relationships with your customers and ultimately grow your businesses. That's why we're all here together, right? And in my opinion, success, it starts with passion. You can't fake passion. You're either genuine and authentic or fake and phony, and that's your guy, Yao Ming, one of the greatest basketball players in history. Yao's parents were both star players on the Chinese national team, so it was no wonder their son would be destined for greatness growing up in Shanghai. Here he is playing with the Houston Rockets of the National Basketball Association. What an incredible athlete. But when I think about Yao and what was so unique about his DNA, for me, it wasn't his athletic ability. No, it was that smile on his face, which pretty much said it all. Yao was so passionate about giving 100% each and every night. Towering over the competition at 2.3 meters high, he was an intimidating figure. Yet once the whistle blew and that big smile came out, he was just a big teddy bear. America immediately fell in love with him. They called him a gym rat because he was just always hanging around the gym, day and night, shooting hoops. He'd play pickup games with the janitors, the trainers, the beer vendors, the ticket takers, anyone who would play with him. He never felt that he was too good for anyone, despite the fact that he was a huge celebrity and made millions of dollars. His smile and positive attitude were simply infectious, and that's why everyone loved him. He was so likable, so funny. He was an amazing teammate. You know the old cliche, find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life? First one to the office, last one to leave. That was Yao. He was so passionate about playing basketball. I love hanging around professional athletes because it's like being around the fountain of youth. These people, they've spent their entire lives working so hard to get to the top of the pyramid. And once they get there, they're consumed with staying there because this is what they love to do. This is their passion. So what's your passion? You see, here's what I've learned. If you're not really, truly, authentically passionate about what you do, then you need to think about what you do. Now, I get it. Maybe you didn't grow up dreaming of selling life insurance or analyzing PE ratios, but maybe your passion is helping people to gain their financial freedom, or knowing that your advice and guidance is making a difference in a customer's financial futures. Someone like Mary. If that's the case, then congratulations, you're living the dream. But maybe this is just your day job, and your real passion is traveling or golfing or fishing or spending time with your kids or grandkids. Then you better be really good at your day job so that you have enough time and money and freedom to do the things that you're really passionate about. Otherwise, you're just pushing the rock up the hill, and that's no fun. So I want you to think about what you're truly passionate about and how that ties into what you do, because at the end of the day, we choose to do business with people who are incredibly passionate about what they do. That's Sachin Tendulkar, arguably the greatest cricketer of all time. And in India, where cricket is like religion, this man is a god. It's been fascinating studying his DNA. His will to win and refusal to settle for second best was unlike anything I've ever seen. His numbers will never be equaled. He's the only player ever to have scored more than 30,000 runs, and he's the only player ever to have scored 100 international centuries. Incredible. As great as the individual statistics were, however, it was his team statistics that mattered most. He was so incredibly competitive. In fact, Sachin hated losing more than he loved winning. He would work tirelessly and do whatever it took to help his team win. He demanded excellence from all of his teammates, and he convinced them to own their roles, whatever they were, because he knew that it was going to take the entire team to win a championship, not just one man. After every championship celebration, he would say to himself, "How am I possibly going to do this again next year?" Wow. So, there were no days off for Sachin. But this is what truly makes the great ones great. Their ability to somehow keep getting better and better year after year. So you had a great year in sales this year? Congratulations. So what? What about next year? It's 2016. That's all that matters right now. What's it going to take to become a quart of the table or even a top of the table? That's the world Sachin Tendulkar lived in. There was no off season for Sachin. Nope. And when the game was on the line, he wanted the ball. He thrived under the pressure. And that's why his opposition feared him. He had a boot on the throat mentality, a killer instinct that when he got you down, he kept you down. And that killer instinct, it's the same in business. Great companies have them too when it comes to customer service. If you've ever had the joy of staying at a Ritz-Carlton hotel, then you know what I'm talking about. Every touch point, from the person greeting you at the door, to the person checking you in, to the person showing you to your room, to the person serving you an incredible meal. I don't know where they find these people, but I can tell you that it's an experience to stay at a Ritz. It's a completely commoditized business, a hotel, yet they stand alone when it comes to first-class service. I just did some work with their organization, and they explained to me how they recruit people with amazing smiles. They said you can teach people all sorts of different skills, but you just can't teach an amazing smile. If you've ever shopped at an Apple store and had one of their geeks at the Genius Bar fix your iPhone, or spoken to one of their customer service experts over the phone, then you know what I'm talking about. I fly every week, and as a million miler, I've achieved diamond status on Delta Airlines. When you get to that status, they give you your own private phone number to call whenever you need assistance. It's called the Diamond Line, and it's simply awesome. Whenever I call, they always answer on the first ring. "Hello, Mr. Berstein." They magically know my name whenever I call. "It looks like your flight's been delayed. We're so sorry. Let's get you rebooked. First class, of course." I love Delta. We're frenemies. I hate them half the time, but I love Delta. They have a white glove treatment for their best customers, and as a result of the way they treat me, I'm extremely loyal to them. Even the simple joy of ordering a coffee at Starbucks, it's that same killer instinct to treat every customer to an amazing experience. And just like Sachin Tendulkar, your will to win and refusal to settle for second best at every touch point of your business is without a doubt going to be your greatest differentiator. That's Ichiro Suzuki, just one of 3 players in Major League Baseball history to reach 4,000 career hits. Incredible. So what's unique about his DNA? Consistency. Somehow Ichiro is still going strong at the age of 42. 42. The average professional athlete plays less than 2 seasons, and 99.9% of us never make it to the big leagues. So to become an all-star, a Hall of Famer, to become the best of the best, it's extremely rare. Look, anyone can get lucky and have a good game. Heck, you could even cheat and take steroids and have a great season. But to play professional baseball for 25 seasons, this is nearly unheard of, but it's all about consistency. Now, as a veteran, he's found value in mentoring the kids, showing them the importance of staying in great shape and getting enough sleep and eating right. Things that aren't necessarily fun, but things that ensure long-term success. He doesn't just tell the rookies how to get in shape, though. He shows them. This guy's workout regimen is unbelievable. Years ago, when he was a star outfielder with the Oryx Blue Wave in Japan, he used to lift traditional weights like all the other players, but they made him bigger, bulkier, and ultimately slower. So he changed to flexibility training to increase his range of motion and speed. To do so, he had to get creative. So he found a company in Japan to build him specially designed training machines that would allow him to stretch and condition very specific muscle groups, way beyond simple calisthenics. These machines combine the principles of Pilates and yoga to help oxygenate his blood and optimize circulation. He's become so devoted to his beloved machines that he travels with them and sometimes even uses them up to 4 times a day. As a result, he's never spent a single day on the disabled list for a muscle-related injury in the past quarter century. Amazing. People thought he was crazy, but he believes in his machines, and his swing has become much freer and faster. Now players from all over the major leagues come to see his machines and ask him about the secret to his success. They want to ask him about his routine and about how he's found the fountain of youth at the age of 42. These peak performers, they're all looking for an edge, and they're willing to study the competition and even emulate them if it will give them even the slightest advantage and advance their careers. I believe flexibility gives me my strength, Ichiro explained. Flexibility is my secret weapon. So what's your secret weapon? What are you willing to do to gain an edge? Are you studying your competition? Or maybe they're studying you. I think what separates Ichiro from all the other players isn't necessarily his work ethic. Instead, it's his discipline, preparation, and attention to detail. Ichiro does things differently. He's created a formula for success that nobody else wants to follow. Others have tried to emulate him, but they can do it for a while, but no one can keep up long term. Consistency is about doing the little things, the fundamentals, each and every day. There's a saying in sports that practice makes perfect, and it's true. It's not fun, but it's what makes us better on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. Professional athletes spend about 95% of their time training, studying, and watching film, and just 5% actually playing in games. For the great ones, it's about finding that routine, that regimen to achieve long-term success. For us, it's about getting up in the morning and working out in order to take care of our bodies, and then getting on the phone and making calls, and later getting in our cars and in airplanes to go meet with our customers to build relationships. It's a grind, but as you know, there's no elevator to the top. We all have to take the stairs one step at a time. It's hard work, but those of us who are disciplined and can maintain a consistent business practice will ultimately achieve the most amount of success. Consistency. Look, it's the same in business. 40% of all companies fail after year 1, 80% fail after year 5, and 95% of all companies fail after 15 years. How long have you been in business? I recently spoke at Levi Strauss's annual conference in San Francisco. What an amazing company. After my speech, their president took me down to their corporate store at their headquarters and told me to pick out some Levi's for my wife and daughter as a thank you gift. When I got home, I gave my daughter these really cool jeans that were extremely rare and expensive. She looked at them puzzled and asked me, "Dad, what are levies? She mispronounced the name because she'd never heard of them before. Well, Levi's brought me back a few months later to speak at one of their huge manager conferences. I debated, should I tell them about my daughter? I knew it was going to break their hearts, but I thought they should know that there are 12-year-old girls walking around the malls of America who don't know what their products are. So I told them this story during my speech, and it nearly killed them. But afterward, their president said that was exactly what they needed to hear. He said, from this point forward, we are now officially a 163-year-old startup company, because what was promised to us yesterday means nothing tomorrow, and that means we have to change. Levi's invented jeans. No kidding. They invented riveted denim 163 years ago because the early gold miners were ripping their pants searching for hidden treasure. But just because they invented jeans doesn't mean they can rest on their laurels and become complacent. Look at all the category killers in the malls today. Lucky, Diesel, Guess, Gap, Edwin, Lee, Hollister, and on and on. So much competition. But malls are dying and customers are changing their buying habits. People can now buy jeans on an app at 3 in the morning on their cell phones. Wow. Who could have ever imagined such a scenario? Sound familiar? Customers buying life insurance on an app on their cell phone? Looks like the future is here. Levi's was the biggest and the best, and they thought they could just put it on cruise control. But those days are over. Everybody is gunning for them, and the competition is fierce. But instead of retreating, they went all in, recently spending $250 million on the naming rights for Levi's Stadium in San Francisco, home of the National Football League's 49ers. Super Bowl 50 is going to be held there next week, and guess what the Roman numeral for 50 is? L, as in Levi's. This company has reinvented itself. They're no longer selling jeans, they're selling experiences. Where were you in your first pair of Levi's? Were you wearing them on your first date? Or maybe when you had your first kiss? They've made them hip and friendly again, with some of the world's most iconic celebrities and musicians all living Levi's. They have a new mission, and they're doing whatever it takes to sustain that amazing momentum that they have created. What are you doing? Consistency is the key to long-term success. So I want you to think about the little things, your routine, and about what you're going to do to reinvent yourself to keep your business thriving well into the future. That's Soon Wen. She grew up in Shanghai and would go on to become one of the greatest women's football players of all time. So what's unique about her DNA? She was unselfish. In life, we have givers and we have takers, and Soon was a giver. Soon reminds me a lot of my childhood hero, Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player on the planet and a guy I had a serious man crush on as a kid. Wayne was the National Hockey League's all-time leader in goals and the all-time leader in assists, but he had twice as many assists than goals. I asked him about that one time, and he said, a goal made one player happy, but an assist made two players happy. Wayne, like Soon, was a giver. Soon loved to help her teammates, and that's why her teammates loved her. I'm not sure you can teach it, but I know that we like to do business with giving, unselfish people. I will never forget the day a few years ago when my daughter scored her first hat trick in football, 3 goals. She also had an assist in the game, and on the car ride home, I told her that I was most proud of the assist. She asked me curiously, why, Daddy? And I told her that great passes come straight from the heart because you have to sacrifice for the unknown. I mean, she could have emulated her hero, Lionel Messi, and scored that 4th goal that day. She was right there at the net, wide open, but rather than scoring an easy goal, she instead turned 90 degrees and she passed across the goal line to her buddy Carly, and Carly scored instead. Carly hadn't scored all season. She was so excited. They high-fived, they fist-bumped, they hugged it out. They talked about it afterwards over ice cream for about an hour. It was the greatest goal ever, as I learned. That was the day my daughter became a giver, and I couldn't have been more proud. Soon was the captain of Team China, and as the leader, that meant she had to lead by example every single day. That meant being the first player on the pitch every practice and the last player off. If one of her teammates was in a slump, she would stay after practice and work with her to build her confidence. Confidence, as Soon learned, was the building block for momentum, and momentum was why Team China rose to prominence as one of the best teams in the world during her tenure. Soon would sacrifice her own statistics, a goal versus an assist, to help her teammates so that collectively the team would do better. Soon was one of the most respected players of all time. And she was so humble. Whenever she scored a goal, she didn't dance, she didn't trash talk her opponent, and she certainly didn't say I, or me. Nope. She would just smile and celebrate respectfully with her teammates. She led her team to the 1999 Women's World Cup Finals, where she and her teammates earned the nickname the Steel Roses due to their spirited display. For her efforts, Soon was named as the FIFA Female Player of the Century. When asked about it, she said it was all because of her teammates. Give them all the credit. Nice assist, Soon. So what does a great assist look like in your world? How can you help your fellow colleagues in the room today? I help my colleagues and competitors all the time. I help them write books. I help them get on TV, and I help them with referrals to get speaking engagements. It's called karma, and it's why my business grows double digits every year. Sometimes it's just about working smarter versus harder. So I want you to think about giving back and genuinely helping others, because we like to do business with givers, not takers. That's Jason Day. And when I think about what's unique about his DNA, one word comes to mind: perseverance. We heard Richard talk about it this morning. The obstacles this guy has had to overcome en route to becoming the world's #1 ranked golfer this year are nothing short of incredible. Jason's story begins in Australia, where his world got turned upside down at the age of 12 when he lost his father to cancer. He started running with the wrong crowd and soon developed a drinking problem. Worried, Day's Filipino mother borrowed some money to send him to a private boarding school where he got his life straightened out while also discovering golf. The school's golf instructor was a man named Colin Swatton. The two bonded, and Swatton would become Day's new adoptive father, instructor, and savior. Day worked hard over the ensuing years and would go on to become a rising star on the PGA Tour. But for whatever the reason, he just couldn't win. Time after time, he would play well, only to finish in second place. Discouraged, he started to question whether or not he had what it took to make it on the PGA Tour. On November 7, 2013, Day's world got rocked upside down again when he tragically lost his grandmother and 7 other relatives when Typhoon Haiyan struck the Philippines. Heartbroken, Jason decided to just focus on what he could control, and that was his attitude and his work ethic. He knew the harder he worked, the luckier he was going to get, and his luck finally turned this past summer when, after an astonishing 8 second-place finishes, he won his first major tournament. His caddy, right there at his side, was none other than Colin Swatton, his best friend and mentor. Perseverance. What does that mean in your world? In sales, it means dealing with rejection. I deal with it all the time, and it stinks. But I know that I have to get up every morning and make calls and perform. My family's depending on me. You're going to have to deal with circumstances beyond your control, but it's how you choose to deal with those circumstances that will ultimately matter most. Focus on what you can control. Distractions such as the state of the economy, government regulations, ISIS, Ebola, and what your competition is doing, they're not going away. These disruptors that are changing the way we do business, they're everywhere. New companies such as Uber and Airbnb are revolutionizing how people shop in this new shared economy. New technology is allowing people to shop for goods and services in ways we could only dream of just years ago. The big disruptor for me? E-books. Yeah, bookstores are closing. The Kindle, the Nook, these evil devices are killing my book business. I was recently watching a documentary on TV about the home of the future, and guess what's not in it? Bookshelves. And that stinks if you write books for a living. Books have gone digital, and as a result, my book business is upside down. They now have digital libraries where you can check out as many of my books as you want for free. Ebooks are here to stay, though, so I realized that I had to shift my business model. So now I too sell ebooks, but the electronic version of my book sells for less than 50% of the hardcover. I still have to do the same amount of work, but I only get paid half as much. Is that fair? No. But that's life. Instead of complaining about it, I decided to change and adapt. So in the past few years, I've turned several of my books into movies and documentary films. I've also transformed several of my books into keynote speeches and training programs. Now I can monetize my content differently and create new profit centers. Books have become my currency. I give them away to build relationships. What's your currency? A brochure? I hope not. You see, a book just can't be a book anymore in the new economy, and you can't just sell life insurance anymore either. Those days are over. Anyone on the internet can do that, and many of them can do it much cheaper than you. So you need to evolve from an order taker to become a trusted advisor, a business partner, a person who solves his or her clients' financial problems and helps them to achieve success. Otherwise, you will end up like the dinosaur, extinct. My business continues to grow because I continue to change and adapt and try and stay ahead of the curve. It's tough. There are so many challenges and distractions trying to drag me down. But I know that if I can just persevere and focus on what I can control, making my calls, working hard, meeting with clients, and most importantly, building stronger relationships, then my business will continue to prosper, and so will yours. That's Li Na, the first Asian ever to win a Grand Slam in tennis, and someone who is well on her way to leaving a lasting legacy. And while her talents on the court are simply extraordinary, I think what's most impressive about her is what she does off the court regarding her willingness to give back through philanthropy. I had the joy of watching her win her second major championship in Melbourne 2 years ago at the Australian Open. Her performance was amazing. Oi, oi, oi. Her smile, her positive energy, and her hysterical post-match interviews made her the most talked about player at the tournament. The fans simply couldn't get enough of her. Always by her side was her husband, Dennis, who never seemed to mind being the butt of her silly jokes. Dennis has supported her through the highs and the lows of her career, and he was right there by her side when she suffered a knee injury that cost her career shortly after winning the Open. Forced to retire, Li has now reinvented herself as a businesswoman with a focus on giving back to her community while growing the game of tennis. Over the years, she has donated a significant amount of her own money to help charitable causes in China, including nursing homes and victims of natural disasters. One of the contributions she's most proud of was her $1 million donation to the China Children and Teenager Fund, which helps orphans and disabled children by giving them a new recreation center and sports facilities. When asked about her donation, Na said that children are our future. If we can help them, then they will definitely contribute back to our communities. But perhaps even more importantly than her money is that she donated her time, which as we all know, is precious. As an ambassador for Women's Tennis Association, Li knows now how important it is to get the next generation of kids to fall in love with her game. So now she's launching a new tennis academy for Chinese athletes that will merge tennis training along with education. Li and Dennis just had a baby girl this past summer, and they're enjoying life. Incidentally, when she announced the news of her pregnancy, Li said with a big smile, "Dennis scored an ace." How great is that? So how do you give back? Giving back is such an important part of the MDRT culture. As I've learned, philanthropy is not only good purpose, it's also good business. What a great differentiator. You know the old cliche, people don't want to be sold, but they love to buy, especially from people who share their same values. I think that the charity you align yourself with, though, however, needs to be very personal. For me, it's the Herb Brooks Foundation, of which I currently serve as the president and proudly donate a portion of all the proceeds from my book sales and speech sales. Herb Brooks was a legendary hockey coach, one of my childhood heroes. I first met him as a 10-year-old at his hockey camp, where I proudly won the Most Improved Award. And you know who wins that award, right? The guy who sucks the most. And that was me. But Herbie believed in me, and we became friends. He would later ask me to write his biography, a huge honor. And I was working on it with him when he died in 2003. In fact, I was golfing with Herbie the morning he was killed in a car accident. That's why I helped to create the Herb Brooks Foundation, so I can help to keep his legacy alive by raising money for causes that support youth sports. What a great differentiator. So what will your legacy be? Life is so short. Did you matter? Did you make a difference? Herbie did. He had an acronym he used for all the major decisions he made in life. He called it QTL. Quality Time Left. What's your QTL? How about the QTL of your clients? When I think of my legacy, I think of my family. I'm proud to say that my 13-year-old daughter got to come to 8 countries with me this past year. There's a decent chance she might flunk the 8th grade, but I'm seeing the world through her eyes. Sometimes this school thing really gets in the way of her education. She's here with me right now today with my wife. We just saw the Great Wall of China and the Forbidden City in Beijing 2 days ago. What an awesome time we are having in China. I'm focusing on spending as much time as possible with my family. I love them. That's my legacy. Another part of my legacy is my niece, Anna, on the right. My brother adopted Anna 16 years ago from the city of Nanchang in the Jiangxi province. We've all helped to raise her. She's amazing. So what will your legacy be? How about the legacies of your best customers? You get to play a big part of that, so please don't take it lightly. And lastly, have fun. I want to leave you with my buddy Lou Battori. What's unique about his DNA? This guy has so much fun. Selling insurance is hard work, so we all need to have more fun. Lou is 103 years old, and he's proof that age is just a number. He's a competitive skier in the state of Michigan in the U.S., and guess what? He wins every race he competes in. Do you know why? Nobody else in his age group. How awesome is that? Look, being a champion is a choice. It's your choice. And just like Yao Ming, you get to make that choice each and every day when it comes to your attitude. Along the way, you'll be tempted to take shortcuts and do things you know aren't right. But being a champion is about winning with integrity. It's about making the right decisions even when no one is looking. Follow your moral compass to find success. That's what being a champion is all about. Remember, a goal without a plan is just a wish. So what's your plan for 2016? Are you going to wish your way to becoming a top of the table or plan it? I recently spoke at Idemitsu's annual conference. They're an iconic Japanese petroleum company that has succeeded in business for more than 100 years by simply focusing on the virtues of trust, honesty, and respect. Such simple things, yet I couldn't agree more. Let's recap. Number 1, remember Yao Ming as you think about your passion. Are you living a passionate, purposeful life? Number 2, remember Sachin Tendulkar as you think about your will to win and what extraordinary customer service looks like from every touch point of your business. Number 3, remember Ichiro Suzuki as you think about consistency, from making those calls to getting on planes to building stronger relationships. Don't forget, it's 800% more expensive to get a new client than it is to keep an existing one. Number 4, remember Sun Wen as you think about being unselfish. Are you a giver or a taker? Who are you going to set up on that next great assist? Number 5, remember Jason Day as you think about perseverance and about how to keep going even when you get down and lose your confidence. Number 6, remember Li Na as you think about your legacy. How much QTL do you have left? Don't forget, you do make a difference each and every day for your customers who depend on you to make the right choices for their families' financial futures. And finally, number 7, remember Lou Battori as you think about having fun, because at the end of the day, we like to do business with fun, funny people. Tomorrow morning at my focus session, we're going to continue the conversation by talking about a lot more amazing people. Legends like Manny Pacquiao, Jeremy Lin, Inbee Park, Anton Apollo Ono, Li Ning, Zhao Ming, Wao Nan, Jahanji Khan, Lin Dan, Rudy Hartnell, Futabayama, and KJ Choi, just to name a few. Remember, individuals win games, but teams win championships. Thank you, Sheshe, for letting me be a member of your MDRT team. It was an honor I will never forget. Cheers. I'll see you at the party tonight. Thank you.